Hello all, and it's been like 7 months since I've done one of these. Um, I even looked because I was like, what was the last video I actually did talking pro wrestling? And it was SummerSlam, and before that it was Lucha Underground, which is what I'm going to talk about in this video because last night was Aztec Warfare 2 or Dos, and it was amazing once again. And there were lots of things that happened, and it was refreshing, and it felt, I don't know, it was not that I still watch a lot of wrestling. I watch Raw every great now and then. I watch SmackDown whenever there's a good match, even though Ronaldo's on there now. um, I will watch New Japan on Access if there's a match I really really want to see again, since I've seen all those matches already. Still watch Ring of Honor. Not religiously, but pretty regularly. Still watch NXT. Wouldn't say religiously, but pretty regularly. And but Lucha Underground I watch pretty much religiously. And so a couple weeks ago, when they announced that they were putting up all of season one on iTunes, and they on the Apple Store, and a season pass for season two, I went full in because I don't get El Rey. I don't have it. So, and I want to support the promotion because I like the show, and I know that if, I don't at least try to give them some money, um, they will go away, and I don't want them to go away because I absolutely love the show, and I love the product that they give. It is very different. It is not for everybody. I'm sure there are people up on here saying, everyone talks about how great it is. You know, I get that people don't like the wacky storylines. I get that. That said, I like the wacky storylines. I'm a comic book geek, and so a lot of that stuff I follow very easily. I know a lot of people, for some weird reason, have a hard time following the storylines, which I find weird because I find the storylines make a lot of sense or easy to follow. But again, maybe that's because I've watched sci-fi movies my entire life. I've watched cheesy B movies my whole life, and I've read comic books my whole life, and so a lot of that, you know, um, stuff they do is from that realm, and so I completely get it. That said, this is still my favorite show, and I think it's the best show, best wrestling show. Some people would even say the best show. I've seen some people say it's the best TV show on TV. I don't think I would go that far, but definitely the best wrestling show on TV. I know a lot of people go, well, what about NXT? And while the thing with NXT, to me, is while the specials are always great and amazing, the weekly TV show can be good. It can be great. It's often just okay or good, though the bad is usually really bad. Where, like, for Ring of Honor, for example, they don't have a lot of great TV unless it's a match that I've probably already seen from a pay-per-view, but they will have a lot of good TV, and the bad is usually not that bad. It's usually okay. It's not horrible. Where NXT can have some horrible TV sometime, and I think that's kind of the difference. I think they're kind of on the same level, where like I said, the New Japan show, I've seen most of those matches. So even though the commentary's new and the commentary's really good, and it probably is the best commentary of any TV show, bar none. Um, I've seen those shows, so it's hard for me to get excited for them. Where Lucha Underground I get really excited for. And, it was a year ago, just about a year ago now. Well, I guess a little over a year, because Aztec Warfare 1 was right around the holidays. Um, During season 1, that I kind of jumped on board because everybody said how great Aztec Warfare was and how I needed to watch the show. And it was kind of weird that I hadn't watched it because the people behind this are the same people who were behind Wrestling Society X. And there was a lot of stuff about Wrestling Society X that I liked, even though I know a lot of people hated. But I thought it would be too much like Wrestling Society X, and it just was like, do I really want to get invested into it? And but I did go back last year and I did watch, and I liked a lot of the storylines. I liked a lot of the storylines that I could see coming up. For example, this season, Um, we got, the fact of bringing the 7 tribes together, which, if you watch that first season and you watch the first episode and you watch that first little vignette that they do where they talk about the 7 tribes, you could see that at some point they were going to bring in the 7 Aztec tribes and they were going to bring in all of this other stuff. So it's always very rewarding because it's very rewarding storyline wise. So yeah, so I love this show and I love this promotion, and um, it. We're coming up on WrestleMania, and WrestleMania I could care less for. There's nothing WWE is probably doing, with the exception of NXT in Dallas, that I would even dream of going to, even though I'm not going. I thought I might be able to go, but I'm going to be moving this summer to Kansas City, and so it's going to be hard for me to. I had to go up last week to kind of look for houses, so it was kind of just difficult for me to, go um, this year. Um, the last 3 years has been something like that has come up where I haven't been able to go to WrestleMania, which kind of sucks. But um, that's beside the point. But if I were to get, I'd probably go to the Ring of Honor shows, probably go to the Evolve shows, which is surprising to say, but a lot of those shows look really, really good. The Some of the other non WWE shows is probably what I would go for. I would probably, if I went, I would probably leave Sunday morning and come back home, because again, there's really nothing on those shows, nothing on at WrestleMania that has me even kind of intrigued to the point where, I have the network and I'm like, do I even want to waste the 4 hours it's going to be to watch WrestleMania? I'm sure I will because it's WrestleMania, but just I'm not hyped about it at all. Um, and then you have, like I said, Lucha Underground, and again, I gave them money. I think just about everybody should give them money, personally, because I think they deserve it. I think they've deserved it for a while because it's that good. It's that good of a show, and I thought it gets pirated like crazy. And I know some people pirate it out of necessity because it's the only way they can watch it. But if they give you a way to give them money, I bought the entire first season, bought the second season pass. I know some people wouldn't do that, or might not have the extra money to do that. But you could buy 1 season or 2 season, or not 1 season, but you could buy 1 episode, 2 episodes. I'm sure just about everybody could do that. I would recommend that because I think the show is that good. And of course, we just had Aztec Warfare 2. If you don't know what Aztec Warfare is, if you've never really seen um, Lucha Underground, which I find anyone watching this video would find that hard to believe. They basically do a Royal Rumble type thing, except that it's not over the top rope, it's pinfalls and submissions, and it's a gauntlet where, every, I think, 90 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever, people come to the ring. And it sounds like, the stuff that, TNA has done for years, and it never really worked. Somehow they did it because you could go over the top rope because all these guys, they're luchadors, and it's a lot of high flying, so a lot of guys could do over the top rope stuff, and so it allows them to do that. And the match is always awesome. And this year it was awesome because the stuff you had Rey Mysterio debut, you had Dragon Azteca Jr., which is more of a storyline type character, made his debut. And then, of course, the big thing was that Matanza, if you watch the show, who is Dario Cueto's brother, who Dario Cueto is kind of the evil promoter, except it's done so well. He is, without a doubt, the best wrestling character on TV, bar none. There's nobody even close. And everybody knows I'm a huge Paul Heyman fan. He is just, this show, he hadn't been around the entire season. He'd been like an exile the whole season. So he comes back for Aztec Warfare at the very end. And keep in mind, this was the debut of Rey Mysterio, who got a huge pop. And Dario Cueto probably got just as big a pop, if not bigger, than Rey Mysterio. Think about that. It was that big of a deal for him to show up, and it was just awesome to see him. And then, if you had followed the show, you knew what him showing up meant, which meant that his brother Matanza, this evil monster that had been built up for a season and a half was finally going to show up, and he shows up. And he wasn't like a big Kane-like monster. He was more like this little like he was a monster for Lucha Underground the same way Taz was kind of, or yeah, kind of like Taz was kind of a monster for ECW. I've heard some people say that, and that's pretty close. So this guy's bigger than Taz, but he was suplexing dudes, slamming dudes, doing all sorts of stuff. Looked like a monster. And this was kind of weird because he debuted. People were kind of cool about that, and then he started beating everybody. They gave him a monster, super monster push, and I mean everybody. He beat every big star in the promotion to win the title, because this was for the title. And people started to boo, but it still worked. Even though the fans were kind of not all for it, it still worked. Unlike what WWE has basically done the last 3 years, where it just didn't work because they didn't know how to book it right. And they booked this match perfectly. You need to go out of your way and see it. I would say if you've never seen Lucha Underground, go on to iTunes and buy this episode. Spend the $2 or $3 that this episode is, and watch it. I literally watched it 3 times already today, and um, that's saying something. So yeah, I love this episode. It's an awesome episode. I love Lucha Underground. And like I always say, if you love something, you need to support it, particularly entertainment. So go support them. Go buy a shirt. Go do something. They got shirts and masks and all sorts of stuff that you can at least give them some money. Because it just, yeah. Anyways, that's all I had. I know it's been forever, but yeah, that's really all I got. Yeah, Aztec Warfare 2. You need to check it out. It's awesome. It's just probably maybe even better than last year's. Just greatness stuff. So, anyways, I'm out. Later.